Good evening, folks. It's here, Sensei Al Bob. It's a cold evening. I'm snuggled under the covers. It's about 7-7, give or take, and just wondering how you all are. Well, the marathon chat was almost 5 hours. Woo-wee! And it finally loaded up. I guess it took some time getting up there. And it's up there. Looks nice. And it was a very nice chat. You all were such sweet adepts and really had some really smart and interesting and pointed insights. Just what I wanted to hear and see. You know, what makes a good teacher is a good sensei is a good Padawan, a good student, and you all are that. And anyway, let's see. What does it look like without turn that off? Well, you can't see me at all. Okay. Oh, so I'm doing okay. I wanted to respond to you guys. Not be the like I was today, meaning the well, I mean, you guys definitely a good chunk of the conversation. Uh, so we are in a interesting time, the window of the 40 days and 40 nights. Dark 30 is we're kind of coming up to the first half. We're on our 15th or 16th day. Hey, Jamie. So what did you think of the chat today? You were part of it. And what's really burning? Yeah, it was full on. What's burning? What do you want to get done? What do you want to do? What do you want to see this world to be? You know, me, I'm in my, I don't want to be maudlin. I mean, a number of my friends have died in the last few days, so I'm thinking about mortality. But I've already died 6 times, so mortality is really, as Buddha said, if you're not ready to die, you're not ready to live. But I really see a great opportunity, one of the largest opportunities in our lives. I'm pushing 70. And so I've seen a lot of opportunity. And, but, there are more people being fed, more people being educated, more people being able to see that they might be able to do what they want to do. And yet at the same time, there is a smaller group of people with more power and money than any time, really, since, the Roman Empire. And they are all white males, pretty much, and they are fearful of losing their control. That power, the powers that shouldn't be are really at one of the points where they don't know what to do. Everybody wants civil rights. Once you give one people civil rights, it's that song by Gil Scott Heron about Ronald Reagan, and we're living in a grade B movie. And but we could step up. We could really be. And there's this fine line between fascism. I've always wanted to know truth. It's taken an incredible journey. Question 60, and I feel 19. Going, yes, me too. I'm still a teenager. I'm still a youngster. I'm still a young pup, and 60 is the new 30, especially if you've taken care of yourself. And I'm still hanging in there. I mean, I'm doing a lot better than my aches and pains make me feel. Um, and my doctors are just kidding around when they say that I'm the healthiest looking dead guy. But, when they first saw me, I was, it didn't look too good. But because I lost 270 pounds and changed my lifestyle in a way that most people really can't, they're addicted to whatever they are and they just end up dead. Me, I said, 90 degrees, and then went 180, back. And so, so I am here to serve, and I have a job to do, as we all do. So, Jamie, keep going. So you made a good first statement. So now what do you want to do as a 19-year-old? You know? What do you feel best about what's going on, and what do you most want to manifest in a change? And that goes out to all two of you there. And that's who I found it, beloved, one that has danced with all his life. The realization was quite something, but saying love is no game for the weak at heart. That's for sure. You got to be 1,000% for the other person, because it's the only way it works. I keep saying, if you want to be happy, you have to make the other person happy. Right? And if you want to have joy in your life, you have to enjoy everything you do. These people go, I can't stand my life. Oh, I hate my job. I hate my kids. I hate everything. Life sucks and then you die. No, that's not really what it is. That's the illusion. Yes, not fun, but it's full of joy. And there's lots of fun in there, too, in between. And and like fun, I told you, I used to be the minister of fun, and then I looked at, where those words came from, and minister means control of everything in a orthodoxy and dogmatic way, and fun means a total distraction from everything else. And so I said, oh, I guess I can't be the minister of fun. I had to find a new nom de plume, Sensei Al Bob. So, so fun is, almost an illusion. It's a fun house ride. No, you don't want a fun house ride. You want a real life. You don't want magic mirrors and smoke screens and things that are illusions. You want the real thing. So keep going. 8 minutes and 32 seconds into the thing. What every day I wake up, every day I meditate, every day I visualize, in every day and every way I'm going to take the piece of love and make it stronger. And then I go about and do that, And whatever pains and aches and etc., if I keep moving, they're not that big a deal, So, and I, like I said, I kind of take care of myself. I eat the right stuff. I take my supplements. I exercise. And, I keep losing weight. I'll be my high school weight of pretty relatively. And, so, what else you got to say there, kids? There's 4 of you there now. Well, Jamie, you always have something good to say. Who else is there? Who's the other 3? So what do you guys think about, My word about technology, people are scared of AI and blah, blah, blah. Well, no. Technology, our present day, not, we have marketplace technology and what's in the hands of humanity. What's in the hands of humanity is 1,000 years ahead of what's in the marketplace. And your brand new automobile, your 2019 automobile is a good example. It has AI in it. It has things that got radar and heat sensors and TV cameras and if you come up on a car too fast, it'll slow itself down. If someone's coming from this way or that way, it'll get out of the way. It's there's more computing power in your car that was on planet Earth in 1960. So that is the difference. See, that your car, your 2019 car, really shows. I mean, we have 0 point energy, we have gravitic propulsion, we have antimatter, we have genetic dynamics that could bring you know healing of every disease. You said you were 60 and you feel like you're 19. Well, the technology that we have could make you 19 again. You know. Now the adepts that I have been blessed to be my teachers, they were hundreds of years old, and yet they could be 19 whenever they wanted to be. I mean, that kind of ability is just somebody else's technology. One man's magic is another man's technology. The entity that was formed um, in 1948 to handle the crash in Roswell and that was only one. They had lots of others, right? And they were realizing what that was, and so they built magic. Majestic 12. No, we're not pissants. That's fine. Exchange today. Not worried. Are you mad at me? Neither. I'm not worried. But we do have to step up, you know? Yes, that's my teacher. Yep, all is as it should be. Yep, right. But we still, need to be the cadre, to do what needs to be done. We just can't be a couch potato, you know? Uh, yep, yep. This is true, Jamie, Very true. Uh, and I, live that and praise that and talk that up myself. I keep saying, all things, as my teacher says, all things are as should be. I mean, as a young man, I was always like, let's do something, and all of these, my teachers would say, hey, it's all going good. Just keep on doing what you're doing. Just keep, keep on keeping on, kid. And every time I died and ended up on the other side, I said, nope, go on back, keep on keeping on. And I don't know if I'm impatient, but I mean, I'm blessed. I'm never bored, and I'm never alone. I can, be by myself. I mean, this whole summer I was pretty much by myself, and it was fine. The animal spirits were there, my guides were there, the beautiful Gaia was there. So, I was all good. I had a river running through my backyard and a waterfall just on the other side, and how could I complain? You know. But we're here as a community. Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, this is true. We have what AI really wants, and that is love. You know, AI can have a facsimile, like a Xerox copy of it, but we have what's in us to love. Meaning, what is love? Love is when you want the other person to be happy, then you're happy. Okay? Love is when you co create something, and in that process, you are in joyful bliss. You know? Boop, boop, boop. Daisy, Daisy. No. Um, let's see, 15 minutes and 42 seconds. I'm just kind of storied out. Boy, that was 5 hours, 4 hours and 50 something minutes. That was like, wow. I felt like Jerry Lewis doing a telethon. I just wasn't wearing the tuxedo. I was wearing my little neckerchief. Uh, well, any questions? Anything? I was after I signed off there. Yeah, that was almost 5 hours. 4 hours and 50 something minutes. Close enough to 5 hours to call it 5 hours. I hope that hit somebody's algorithm. Anyway, yeah, that was fun. I mean, I was jazzed up. I just kept going. Did loads of wash dishes. Drug addiction. Uh, well, just don't let her take. What's that drug they give you to try to substitute heroin? Methadone. Methadone was a drug developed by the Nazis called aldolfamine. And they didn't have enough sick fucks to run the Third Reich. So they developed this drug and they shot you up with it. And it took the same little thing up here, neuroreceptor, that all the opiates go into. But it is a synthetic. So once it goes up there, it changes the hormones, and then you are addicted for life. Meaning, if you can't get your methadone, you'll do heroin, meth, whatever. But it's a really sick fuck drug, and pretty much through Operation Paperclip, it was brought in here, along with fluoride and so many other great things, to basically dumb down and murder the general public. Then got off. The thing about you can't fix your daughter, but you can love her, and you can help, because an addict, I worked in, counseling addictive things, and you have to. I thought methadone was Nazi drug. Yeah, the Nazi drug of choice. Well, it was, but they invented it to just, hook people so they would do exactly what they were told, and that's why it became the Nazi drug of choice. But so hey, I mean, you don't gain 270 pounds in less than 10 years if you're not addicted to food. I chose to live and to enjoy life rather than be a hedonist and. But I put my 10 years in hedonism, and it was, I enjoyed every slice of chocolate cake. But the thing about drugs that's different than food, I mean, food is an addiction, sex is an addiction, alcohol, cigarettes, they're all. But the things like, they all affect hormonally our brain. But the one thing that truly, the 12-step program can work is because it's very Christian oriented, very prayer oriented. And prayer is like meditation. Your mind goes through the same thing. So the people who don't like God or don't like church or don't like religion, you know, get them to meditate. That's what I did. Hey, this isn't a religion. This is breathing. And once you are conscious of your breath, you really kind of get to the idea that, this is what life is, and maybe I don't want to do drugs and OD. Let's see. I erased something. This is what I mean. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't want to delete the message. Yeah, comfort is addiction. Or revisionism for everyone. Yes, it's true. I mean, that's history. History is one big revisionism. I'm here. I want OD. Not this old bird. Yep, you're not too old. Method on speed. Well, it's a very weird. It's a devil's brew. It's a synthetic opiate, but has, instead of getting drowsy, it has a meth characteristic to it that that's why it's methadone, right? And it speeds you up, so you can get all this work done. But you don't get stoned, you don't get high like you do on opiates. It's a synthetic addiction, yeah, and see, synthetic addictions are more dangerous than the real thing, because it really connects the addicted into the illusion of the world. Oh, yes, you do. And the only way you can really, it's like, from 0 to 10, I died. I got ridiculously sick until I had that little experience with the flying nun that I swore that I was never going to get sick again, and I didn't. Now, my dog Dandy helped me out a lot there. See, addiction is, what is it? Achy and Babby. Okay, whatever that is. BACCY and Baba. I mean, getting stoned is not bad as long as you don't do it every day. I like getting stoned. I'm a toker, midnight smoker. But I do it in a very gingerly way because if I get it, I end up doing nothing, staying on the couch eating potato chips. Thai stick, yes, very yummy. The Zen-like, yes. Yes, legal. I lived in Amsterdam where everything was legal. And they had no crime and no drug addiction. Sweden and Portugal had serious drug addictions, and they tried to do it the Ronald Reagan way. It just got worse. And then Sweden said, okay, I'm not Sweden, Switzerland said, okay, we're going to legalize everything. And the way they do, they document everything. I mean, they're the Swiss are like the fun Nazis, who instead of giving you methadone, they give you chocolate. Yeah, tobacco is a pretty evil little thing. Luckily, I never got addicted, but my mom was addicted to it, and she, being the triple cancer, I mean Capricorn, she was. She could quit like bang, right? But and then she wouldn't have, and that was the thing. She would quit, and then she'd go cold turkey, and she wouldn't smoke another period, not another cigarette. And 4 times I saw her do that, and then not smoke for 3 or 4, 5, 10 years. And then she went to a party, had a few cocktails, and she smoked a couple of cigarettes, and bang, she was smoking again. So, uh, yes, that stuff. If you're ODing and you shoot up with that, yes, that is the good stuff. But around here, the rich kids, they are taking fentanyl and dying, and then taking that drug to bring them back, and they're doing parties. I mean, that is sick. That is not right. That is, 30 years. Yes, 30 years. Just look what happened in 18 years. I mean, I've traveled the world a lot, and when I traveled and when I was the traveler, I'd stay in places, and that's how you get to know them. That's how you speak the language. And what was so sad is, so I lived in a grill, Jamaica, for almost a year. I lived in Buzios for almost a year. I lived in Australia for 3 years. I lived in New Zealand for a little bit. I lived in England, lived in Ireland, 6 times each month at a time, once almost a year. Um, I lived in Tortola for almost a year. And all of these were like heaven. And I could have stayed there and I had great things going on, but I always kind of moved on. And because I had things to do. I mean, I never finished what I was going to do in New York. I always had, I could, I set it up so I always came back to New York. It's two stop. And changes of big pot. Yes. Cannabis sativa is given to us by love. Everything else is, you know, a foe. Anything faux is dangerous. What was the line down from? Uh, uh, sad and beautiful world. It's a happy and crazy world. It's everything. That's the beauty of the world. It's everything, and you can have whatever you want if you are there in love's co-creation. Otherwise, you get stuck. Get stuck. Not very fun being stuck. It's like being stuck to one of those sticky things that insects get stuck to. Yeah. Movies are probably one of the best parts of our alter ego. Movies really are art, and uh, what's the beauty of film is that it's every art form all rolled up into one. And the writing, the acting, the filmmaking, the lighting, the everything. It's really, I love filmmaking. It just costs a lot of money. That's why I like to, I can do filmmaking on these live chats. I can, look here. I'm being creative with lighting. I got my Dollar Tree little flashlight. Do you know Blake? Of course, the guy who writes stuff. That Blake. Which Blake? Rotated which way? My phone. Let's see. Yep. It's like being camping. Being at the school in winter is like Cadillac camping. You know, you gotta stay under the covers or wear a lot of. It's 7,000 square of concrete. Let's see. Of course. Boo, 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 boo. Let's see. How about this angle? I like that angle. I always like lighting things in where there's shadow, right? Shadow is like gives definition to things. The yin yang sign. It's light, dark. It's got the event horizon and the little S of the path of light. What do you want to talk about, Al? I don't want to keep you up. I want to know what you guys are thinking. This is a chat. Me, once I get started, I can go on, and I proved it this morning, almost 5 hours. So, um, what I'm really talking about is we are in this amazing window. I mean, like I said, I've been studying trends for 50 years, and we're at a place that we haven't been in billions of years. In this 40-day window, we're at a place where we can actually manifest anything we want, right? If it's juiced up by the co-creation of love, because of the illusion of the powers that shouldn't be is feigning, and they're scared, and they're doing everything desperate they can. You can just look at what's going on. This is desperation here, and the their unexpected consequences are happening, and there's so many divergent power nodes within this desperation. Indeed, yep. And so you can, we can accomplish anything by doing it together as the we. And we don't even have to be in the same room. We got this little magic box here, and we can bring that we into everyone. I mean, the six of us who are talking here on the 7th, we're probably in 7 really different places. And I bet you half of you guys are on other continents. If we can if we, after we hang up here, every day in every way, and take love's co-creation out to our lives, to everyone we know, to all our communities, and get your daughter is hooked on heroin. Well, don't think you're the only one who has to do it. Go to other people whose daughters are hooked on heroin. Get everyone together. Work it as a crew, right? Even yep. Oops. But we need to do it together, right? And so, and here we are together, and we're saying, see, everything we chat, everything we say, goes into our subconscious and stays there and rumbles around until other things pop out. That's the beauty of these live chats I'm doing here. You guys are documenting them onto the CD-ROMs for posterity forever. Other people are coming and watching them. There's almost 200 and something, over 200 people who are family. Today I realized the elite can't tell where great souls incarnate. This is true, because they're an illusion, so they can't understand reality. Pretty cool, huh? Yep, yeah, exactly. This is very true. And, it's the best they can do is have a shotgun. It's like, which isn't too, it's not like surgical precision there, a shotgun. And yet they are producing and have and control amazing technologies that could bring heaven on earth. I mean, it could end poverty, it could end war, it could end illness, sickness. It could enable every Homo sapiens sapien in this solar system to attain their higher self. And what do? They, want to make money. They want to have power. They want to have wars. They want to, get off on suffering. No, that's, what a waste of time. And little do they know that they're going to have to pay for that on the backside of their reincarnation, So, I mean, that's why I keep, I die, I keep coming back, and I don't even get the fun of reincarnation. It's like, and that's because fun is like total distraction. So, let's see what go back to. Uh, I've been asked to look at accidents, right? And so I've been on panels that have looked at accidents, and I've heard recordings because trucks, airplanes, lots of things, have a black box that record the last moments, right? And the three things that, guess what? The three things that most people do just before they plow their vehicle into something. No takers? The first word in each sentence is oh, oh shit, oh fuck, and oops. Let's see. Carnite. To light speed. Yep, yep. And there's things faster than the speed of light, that's for sure. Sup, Al? Hey, Andrew. Well, we're having a nice little conversation about the meaning of life, right? Well, that's pretty much what we always talk about here, and tell little stories, and let's see. Oh, more people are joining. We are infinite conscious, and we're all connected. We're like the great link. Let's see. There is an immense being that commands the dance. Yes, that's right. All just so for enrichment for the soul. This is true. That's why we're here in this illusionary life, and that it's okay that things suck. It's part of life. It's okay. It's beautiful that things can suck and be good at the same time. 300 years Crone. You being left 1,000 years. Yes. And, I met a lot of old folk that old who told me that they enjoyed. I said, didn't you get tired of this? And everyone said, no, no, I enjoyed it. I made every day. And that's, one of my little motivations is to, no matter what's going on, I try to make every day when I go to sleep, I say, that was a good day. And pretty much throughout my whole life, there isn't a thing that I regret. We are that AIM. We are, we are, we are. The current is quantum jammy. Yes, everything is quantum jammy. I got the great truth of union so we can experience the illusion of separation. That is correct. And every day, I mean, I do stupid things all the time, but I have made a deal with myself not to beat myself up as long as I can learn from my mistakes. And as I do, I become a better and better Sensei Al Bob, We are characters in Love's Dream. God, translate in Sumerian to demon, I'm not so. We have to constantly find the right word, right? God, good, evil, bad. These are all too much luggage in those words. We have to find the more, perfect word, or the more best word. Perfection's a little tough to get hit every time, but best or better is moving forward. These are all good things. How do you feel about the novel called The Secret? Well, I read the book The Secret. I didn't know it was a novel. The novel I liked was what was that? The Celestine Prophecy. I like that. I mean, all these guys, The Secret, the Celestine Prophecy, these are ancient truths, right? Then they write a book like they found it or something. No, it's like right there in front of you. Come on. But it's okay as long as they kind of spread the word and get people thinking about stuff outside their navel. And even, if you're meditating on your navel lint. Well, that's, as long as you're meditating. Yeah, the word God is so. Yep. And the law of attraction. It's, part of that's called the law for a reason. It's like gravity, but again, see, gravity seems to be a law, but it's not quite. And attraction seems to be a law, but not quite. There are whole bunches of hidden stuff in there, because within the context of Newtonian physics, those two things, gravity and the law of attraction, in the context of Newtonian physics, all that it does is describe what we can observe. And since we can only observe, 0.0059% of the universe, that's, not saying much, Let's see, not we, but one. Yes. And there, now you know, what's a good word? I guess one is, but we kind of takes all of us. One has been thought of as just me, 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 not the bigger one. Maybe we have to say the bigger one. Which one are we talking about? The me, 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 me one, or the we one? You know. So I mean, that's what this our little class, our little school, our little cadre, our little family is all about. We're redefining. That's why I want to have the Institute for Aesthetically Adept and Appropriate Technology to help folks get a grip on these things. Oh, come on, Light. Stay in one place. Come on. Let's see. How do we feel about? Okay. Let's see the law of attraction. So to read those books, but you already know the truth. Yep. God's not good name. Such a deity. Antonio Particle helped me as well. Like Donald Walsh, Letters from God. Letters from God. That was a great book. I love that. That, and also there was another book where our hero, his teacher was there's Plato and Aristotle. What book was that? Uh, wait. Oh, boo, boo, boo. Yep, right, yep. Uh, I can, the best way I can hypnotize myself is just doing this. I go into trance if I just rub my head. I think I was a dog in another life. Levels of dimensionality. Well, there are more levels of dimensionality than you can count. It's unlimited. And it goes back to the one and the Great Link. It's quite an interesting. Let's see. God's letter to God are also currently What is IMO? These little short. LOL. Oh my God. What does IMO mean? I must oscillate. I crack myself up. In my opinion. Okay, thank you very much. And I like that it's in capital letters. Lamo. Yeah, that's my middle name. Ow. Ah, good one. Yes, it's good to laugh. Laughing is the best medicine. You know, it really is. I crack myself up. Wow. In our little university, we're going to have a whole department on I crack myself up. Oh, boo boo. My opinion. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's part of what, going in state and going to your Akashic record. Akashic record has everything in it. Every soul everything. If you want to know what's going on. So I keep saying, meditate, guys, and I put it on one of these live chats. It's like set yourself free or something like that. It's back maybe 10 or 20 north of here or south of here. And, that's all you got to do, and listen to that thing. I do a really good guided, I used to get paid lots of money from rich people to do personal guided meditations with them. I couldn't do it. I mean, you know, I could have been, I'd still be doing that in West Palm Beach, and there's a place in Florida. Mm, it's right near Daytona, and it's where the psychics are, right? And I had a friend who lived there, and she was one of my students, and then she stopped. You don't fool around with your students. So, a few years passed, and she became the healer she wanted to be, and she was working at this. Oh, I wish I could remember of it. But it was this place. It had a lake, and it was in the 20s and 30s. The Theosophical Society used to take their winter break down there. Anyway, so her car was broken. I was staying with her, and I would drive her to work, and then I'd go fool around and do stuff, and she'd work for a few hours, and then I'd pick her up and take her back home and make her dinner and make her happy. And anyway, so one day, you know, she comes out and goes, "Listen, I got four, you know, new clients, and I can make $300. Is it okay if I spend another 4 hours?" I said, "Sure. I'll go read a book. I'll go into your library there, your esoteric library, and find a book and sit out here and get a cup of tea and read." Anyway, so I'm there, waiting the 4 hours for her to show up. And it's a beautiful day. It was nice. Sitting on a nice porch, no insects, a nice breeze, pretty, all the rest. Anyway, so this person comes up to me and goes, "Are you a psychic?" And I said, "Let me see your palm." And so, I read her palm, and I had, this is when I had my little bag of tricks always with me. And I had my cards, and I had my runes, and I had a cup of tea. So, you know, I I kept anyway. So I gave her a total reading, and she goes, "How much is that?" And I said, "What do you want to give me?" She said, "But in there they charge $100 just for 10 minutes." I said, "Well, whatever you want to give me." So she gave me $20. Fine. So I put my hat down and put the $20 in the hat, and then a line formed, and people were coming and getting a reading and throwing $20 in my hat. And the woman who was the manager came out and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm reading a book, having a cup of tea." Well, and I had already, once she started walking towards me, I kind of put the money in my pocket so she wouldn't grab it, put the hat on my head. And she goes, "You have to be," she goes, what was the word? What was the word? It was like you had to be, oh, yes, she said, "You have to be certified." I said, "Baby, I bet you are." And she looked at me, and she picked up my joke, meaning she was nuts. She was certifiable. I think I said that. When she said, "You need to be certified," I said, "Well, baby, you're certifiable." Anyway, she got really upset, you know, that I was giving readings, and I wasn't charging anything. People were, and "You're taking money." I said, "No, these are gifts. I'm not charging a nickel." And she goes, "No, you have to charge money." If I charged money, it would have been one thing, but just letting people give me whatever they wanted to give me was, like a sin. And that's the whole thing about the new age, or, all of this, seeking. You have to seek in yourself, not get somebody else to do it. Now, yes, I am your sensei Alba. I'm here. What does sensei mean? Teacher. you know and the only way I can be a good teacher is that you guys are great students. That's the real, it's a, again, co-creation of love. you know let's see, good one. Do you practice? Yep. Good man. You should post I do have a guided meditation. I told you it's up there on the YouTube as "Set Yourself Free." And it's a good one. It's about an hour long, and if you just turn it on, you don't have to look at it. Just let it so you can listen. I did it as a verbal thing, and lie in bed. It'll take you away. Yep, you laugh at your own jokes all the time. Yep. You think of interdimensional? Yes, Sandra. What do you think of interdimensionality? Casadega. That's it. The Casadega, Florida place. Yep. That's it. Tattoo is the place. They're very integrated by the concept. Slightly navigate planes, but I would like to focus more on conscious astral projection in order to really get up there. Again, breathing 20% more and breathing out 30% and visualizing, again, go listen to that guided meditation, then do it your own way. That just gives you nice little guidelines and little keys to go do your own thing. And that's what it's about. Co-creating with love, doing your own thing as one, that we are all one. So I'd like to experience this more advanced beings. It's close. Springs. I've been there several times. It's really pretty. It's really nice. Most people are nice, but they're a little full of themselves. That's about it. Avatar, Baba. Yes, I mean, that's why avatars and teachers and ascended masters are really great, because they can help you when you need that little push, when you need that little help, that hand up, not a hand out, right? And that's what drugs are. Drugs are a handout. Doing ayahuasca or any kind of psychotropic drugs is to find enlightenment. Oops, the wrong thing to do. Smoke a little herb for a little relaxation. Have a glass of wine, a little relaxation. Have a little single bone. Not bad, Smoke a cigar every now and then. Have tobacco in ceremony. All good. What's the new movie with Mandy? What's that about? Is it out and about? It's all God speaks and nothing and everything and super changed with. Yeah, Nicolas Cage is always in interesting movies like that. And like I said, movies are one of the hip cult murder madness. Ooh, not my favorite. Not a good thing. Hip cult, hipsters. I'm always bored by hipsters. Cults, not so much fun. Madness, it's never, I spent many years being a shrink. It's not a fun place to watch people. All those things. I used to get paid to observe those environments and make assessments on what they meant to our culture, right? Wow. Okay, me too. Mandy, okay. I have a friend of mine that I go and watch movies twice or so a month with, so that might be on our list. Has anyone seen The Nutcracker? Lava Land. Yep. Has anyone seen that movie, The Nutcracker? And the Four Dimensions? I mean, there's a movie that's about dimensions, you know. The guy goes, "See, I want to see a kid's movie." It's like Grimm's fairy tales. Those were not kids' fairy tales. They were pretty grim. And you know what a grim is, guys? Within the construct of demonology. Anyone know? There used to be a TV show about it. That was a pretty good show. The TV show Paranormal and Grimm were excellent. Very, very good. A lot better than the other ones that are out there. Oh, let's see. I sat through. It's a movie, and it's not about the. I mean, it is about the ballet, but it's a different thing. Uh, okay, Timothy Leary, Velvet Underground, Grateful Dead, right? So these were all, Timothy Leary probably was born in the late 30s, 40s, child of World War II, went to Harvard, studied parapsychology. I first bumped into him at Duke when I was hiding from my draft board, and I was living with a brilliant parapsychologist and the SEAL Corporation, who became the SEAL teams of the Navy. They were trying to develop and study what it would take to make a super soldier, meaning something, like Captain America, indestructible, get shot, still go, could, read people's minds, all of that, right? And I fell into that and at Duke in 1969, 70. Um, because I met this girl. She was really attractive, really brilliant, and she really cared, liked me, loved me. Because I did and made her happy, and I understood what she would. She would talk about. She was she called herself a brain scientist. They now have a better neural mapping, or they have a real scientific name for it. But she was like one of the first. She like thought it up, and so she could really, and she was, you know, intuitive. As much as I was. She was a Cancer, and she was really smart, and she did not have the self doubt. And she had totally suspended her her self doubt, but she wasn't full of herself. So the fact that I understood what she was talking about, that I had studied, that I had been part of when I told her I was part of the Theosophical Society, and she knew at the Thule Society that I was part of that, it blew her friggin' mind. So she goes, "You have a place to stay?" I said, "Nope." She goes, "Well, I have a dorm room that I don't have a roommate, so you can. There's another bed there, and you can eat on whenever you're hungry. Let's go out and get something to eat. Let's talk." So I did. After 3 or 4 days of not leaving that room, she's, "Well, I got to really go to work, and I have a class to teach, and I gotta." I said, "Well, let me come along. I'll be good." So I sat in, took notes, thought about things, gave her insights, and she said, "Wow, you have to meet my boss." And that's when I met the guy who ran the the SEAL Corporation from. He was out of California. Anyway, so Timothy Leary was there with his little bag of tricks, and so he was going on about expand your mind, and I was saying, well, you can do that without drugs, and drugs kind of leave residues. And this girl, she was like, about mind mapping, and so she knew what every little hormone and every little chemical did in your brain. And she had a unbelievable photographic memory. She remembered everything she ever read. It could tell you what page, what book, what everything. I'm always very impressed by that. I mean, I have a magnetic, an autonomic memory. I kind of remember everything that people say. I have kind of a photographic memory. I remember everything I read, but not word for word like she did, or tell you what page it's on, or what. It's like I can't even remember the book. Because I'm a griot, I tell the story. She was a brain scientist. Anyway, so I spent a good 4 months in that crowd, and I had just finished building in New York some really sophisticated deprivation tanks, sensory deprivation tanks. And once I told the SEAL team guy what I had done, and then I kind of drew it out on a little note. I always carry a composition book. Everyone should carry a composition book to write things down and make pictures. And oh, it's been an hour. Boy, it's flying by. The last time I looked, it was like 8 minutes. And so he said, "Can you build me one? Sure, give me some money. I'll make you one." And I made him a super duper Cadillac Rolls Royce sensory deprivation tank. I mean, it damped everything. You know, every sense you have, I disconnected it. You sat in this little pool of salt right on top. I knew the magic disposition of water to salt, so you wouldn't even get wet. And and I made the water and the air 98 degrees, so you weren't cold or warm or nothing. You felt nothing on your skin. There was no breeze. I had Anacona shapes on the ceiling, so it nulled every frequency of sound out. I had it surrounded by a Faraday cage, so no electricity or any kind of current of any type could, twig your spidey sense. And, I put Timothy Leary in there, and he said, "Wow, that was pretty impressive." But he had already been tainted. He had taken so much acid. Now this boy had really good acid, and psychotropics. They're okay. I've taken them 8 times in my whole friggin' life. And I did it at eight, they were all perfect times. They were with the perfect people, with the perfect place, and at the perfect time. And when you do that, that's okay, right? But if you do it to try and find yourself, ooh, baby, you better watch out. Because, later on in my life, when I was, got my little degree as a master's in social work, which made me a shrink. And I got it doing, research rather than gonna hang up my shingle as a shrink. And so I studied the effects of substances on people for, again, the same kind of guys, And because all the research, you want to do any kind of research, you're going to end up working for DARPA, And if you get any kind of counseling, you're gonna be working in some kind of jail. It's amazing that architects who build prisons also build high schools and middle schools. It's the same architecture, the same psychology. I worked for a company that we did psychology for institutional architecture, and I saw all of these patterns of well, who builds this? Oh, it's the same guys. So we live in a prison planet, we the powers that shouldn't be are everything they do is to control that unconditional thing of the one of love's co-creation, and when you talk about that one, when I said we and you said one, I think the best term to use is the artist in the first person. That is that one. Because the artist in the first person is the indigenous guy in the cave a zillion years ago, making a drawing with a piece of charcoal and making it because he's in that totality of consciousness and he's trying to express it outside of that dimensionality of total consciousness. And you're talking about dimensionality. That is, in the uber dimensionality is total consciousness, and that's when we are at one in one love, right? So you want to use that one, you got to use one love, right? Or the artist in the first person when you're talking about us little meat bags here, let's see. Well, Hunter, let's see. Boo-boo-boo. Yeah, Hunter Thompson, I like that guy. Deep state, singularity. Well, that's what I'm talking about, the 40-day window here. We're heading towards this, but it has nothing to do with the deep state. It's like the deep universe collective consciousness. That's the deepness. Forget the state. State is an illusion. But the singularity is when in somewhere in the next 40 to 180 days, all of one love is coming together. And so, forget about any of this crap, the powers that, shouldn't be, not the powers that be, the powers shouldn't be. Those morons are going to be out of a job. But the only way this works is if they kind of are embraced and forgiven. I mean, they're really scared shitless that we're gonna like hang because of all the really nasty shit they've done, and we're gonna like do a trial and hang them by their thumbs. No. MK Ultra, right? So Timothy Leary has a lot to do with MK Ultra, and it came out of started during the Civil War because that was the first industrialized big war. And so a lot of people were shell shocked, right? Then World War One happened, shell shocked, right? Then World War Two, battle fatigue. Vietnam, PTSD. And it's all the same thing. And what happens is you experience a severe trauma. Now, if this happens to you at an older age, you're just broken. But if it happens to you at a younger age, like between birth and 2 years old, if you are traumatized, what happens is your id and conscious mind and your subconscious kind of get fractured. And your id is the bridge between your subconscious mind and your superconscious mind, which is where one love exists inside of your consciousness, where you are part of that consciousness. So if you're fractured, that's when you get multiple personalities. And anyone who's got any bad intentions can that's why so many children are abducted, because they are fractured and turned into multiple personalities, which the powers that shouldn't be use. And they use them as entertainers. I mean, all those Disney kids, all that Hollywood, they use this big time. They're called butterflies. And all of this, the bottom line is all of this stuff is on the platform of the corporate fascist state. And that's the thing we have to get rid of. The material, all the stuff that we're doing, being stupid and not so bad, but the corporate fascist state, not so good. And that's one of, we got rid of kings and queens mostly in the last 100 years, but traded them for central bankers and Nazi fascist corporate, you know, society. So we keep wanting to move forward. It's like one step forward, two steps back, right? So Timothy Leary, he wanted to set people free. He wanted to open their minds, expand them, but all he did was shatter a lot of people's psyches, right? Now, if you can use psychotropic, anything can be used as a tool or as a weapon. So, if you can use that stuff as a tool, like I said, I used it less than 10 times. I can't tell you exactly, but less than 10 times. And each time was very good. It helped. It gave me sight, but I've had more, expansion of my mind through meditation. And basically hanging with, the artist in the first person, folks who are out wearing the grass skirt out there in the field, That's why I became an anthropologist, so people would, send me off to hang with those guys. So the Grateful Dead, so they were just kids caught in a situation. They were out there in California, the drugs came in, this came in. It was like, it's like me. If I have any real gift, it is to be in the right place at the right time and take advantage, and jump on it. Say, not, oh, I can't do it, I'm worried, oh, I might get arrested. No, I said, hey, that's cool, let's do it. My grandma, she had 28 rules, and one of them was, it's easier to say you're sorry than to ask for permission. Just go for it, and that's what she always did. I mean, we'd go do stuff, we'd walk into boardrooms, we'd walk into places, unauthorized person that are not allowed, we'd walk in. And she was this little Italian grandma, so they weren't like going to string her up by her, Nazis would, but, they, ma'am, what, excuse me, you're not allowed, oh, I didn't know, I'm sorry, come on now, let's go. After we'd seen and done everything in the place where only, the authorized personnel should be. So I learned to do that. I just walked straight in. And when you walk in, and she goes, You walk in and own it. I don't know how many places I walked in where it said authorized personnel, and you know, the guys with the guns would come to me and said, "Yes, sir. How can we do what you want us to do?" Like they thought I was in charge. That's because I walked in and owned it, and yet I was wearing, homeless people clothes with a piece of pizza stuck to my head. And yet because I walked in as I owned it, they said, "Yes, sir. What can we do for you?" So like, "Get out of here. We'll shoot you." So these are all keys. You're asking me to where the keys, where to look for stuff. These are the keys. Grandma's 28 rules. And so, yeah, every war is, 9/11 was the illusion to kill millions of people, and it was a satanic ritual. I have been another useful idiot. Yes, like, pretty much, just like me. Most read his last book, Kindle of Fear. Yeah, yeah. Just like, did you ever read Doors to Perception by Aldous Huxley? Brave New World was really a much better world. What do you guys think of Brave New World? That's really kind of saying it, because the guy, our hero, they kept calling him the Savage, he was the artist in the first person. I am K Ultra by all miscellaneous military parts. Yep, pretty much. Dave McGovern, Strange Sense, Laurel Canyon, great book. Yep. And that was a very, I went there 67, Summer of Love. That's in my days of hitchhiking. And I kind of cruised through there. And I was so, I did not, it wasn't like, oh, that's groovy. Oh, that's this. Oh, that's that. No, I had my friend Chipmunk who was like staying with Joni Mitchell, who I was smitten with it. I couldn't even talk when she would walk into a room. I was like, I got a lot of stories about that. That was one time I couldn't jump on it. So none of those guys went beyond the 60s. And that's exactly it. When you do those things, you get stuck. You get stuck, and you don't want to be stuck. You surely don't want to be stuck doing 1,000 micrograms of acid. It's like I've seen people like their eyes drool out of their head. So that's why I don't do a lot of anything. And then when I do, my teachers kind of chuckle and go, it's like when I, signed on for 10 years with hedonism, and I keep saying I enjoyed every piece of chocolate cake. My teacher said, well, he'll learn something out of this. Just let him, go as far as he can, and then we'll pull him back. And so, and that's what it was. I needed that lesson to really, go for it for the next how many years I got left to do what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now, this minute, this second. I love those deprivation, isolation tanks. Yep. So cool, great. Yep. Great invention. Yep. I'm glad I thought it. And that was another thing, that whole technology was ancient. The Egyptians used it. I just put a bunch of tricks on it, and added my little spin. And that's pretty much all the things I've ever done. I'm a great researcher of things what other people have done. My electrical, I had this great mentor, Grandpa Stahl, who was Nikola Tesla's main technician who built all his stuff in New York. I lived in Nikola Tesla's number one laboratory, Mohawk Electric on Hudson Street in Duane. Meaning I got all of this, just sleeping in that place, things went in my head, better than going to school. I read Edgar Casey's book about how he would learn things, where he would put the book underneath the pillow, and by the morning he'd wake up, he'd know everything in the book. I can't quite do that. Almost, but not quite. I can lucid dream and then tell myself I want to read X, Y, or Z book, and I will. And and that's one of the better parts of lucid dreaming. Yep, yep, yep. That lead. Yep, yep, yep. Jammy. What it is? Oh wow, this is pivotal. Yes, that's what I'm kind of saying. This is pivotal, but no sweat. We don't need to sweat about this. Because it's non-linear 48 days, meaning we got all the time in the universe to get this done. We just have to decide we're going to do it, however long it takes. I made the decision. I was in this room of anti-nuclear morons, and I went there because I learned these criminals were building the Shoreham nuclear power plant right where I was starting a real estate business, and I just put every nickel I had into doing the real estate thing, and if they I worked in that industry. I saw what they were doing. I knew that my investment in my life was at jeopardy. And I said, not only for me, but for everybody else here, I better do something. I couldn't just say, oh, somebody else will do it. And so I went to this meeting, and it was like so pathetic. And but there were four grandmas, and they were the women who had been fighting Lilco for 15 years. And Lilco wanted to build 20 reactors, and they kept it to one. Just these grandmas said it. So I went over to these girls. I said, girls, and they were like really upset because they were trying to get people to realize what this thing was, and everybody only talked about their own shit. The black lesbian amputee midgets against nuclear power were talking about black amputee lesbian midget nuclear power. It's like no guys. They didn't even know what the Price Anderson Act. It's just like divide and conquer. And I went over to the grandma. I said, so girls, you four girls here are the only Marge Harrison. Who else? Esther Pank, Kathy Boylan, and the third one, I can see the face. I can't quite grasp the name. I said, I'm looking at your auras. I'm looking at your energy. You're the people I want to team up with. We can make a cadre that will stop the Shoreham power plant in its tracks. They looked at me, aura, what? And Kathy Boylan, who was a very religious, spiritual person, said, I know what he's talking about. I can see his too. Okay, this is why we came to this meeting, not for the other 120 morons here, but this guy. So I said, listen, where do you guys live? And I said, oh, I live like 10 miles from you. I'm like on the East Coast. You're on the West Coast. So listen, why don't you, I have a nice little house on the beach. And Esther says, no, come to my house. I have a great kitchen and I bake. I said, yes, we're going to Esther's house. So we went there and had tea and we strategized. And in 8 years later, we closed down the Shoreham power plant. We bankrupted the Long Island Mining Company, and the state of New York bought it back using their legal rights and putting it back into the State Power Authority. And we, cost Chase Manhattan Bank and J.P. Morgan Bank almost $250 billion. Just the six of us, because we brought two other people on board. And yes, we had thousands of people who were co-creators with us, but we were the grandma's council, and I used the Iroquois Great Law as our organizational structure. So the powers that shouldn't be couldn't touch us. They didn't understand. They couldn't send in anybody to divide and conquer because there was nothing to divide and conquer. Let's see. 40 days. So we got all the time. That's one of the things I said. I said, girls, and I called everyone girls, the guys, the girls, everyone. Riley, he was the other girl in our group of grandmas. And he was kind of a guy like me. He was way older than all of us. He was pushing his late 60s. He had been in the Navy, he had been with Rickover, he had been with the originators, he had been at, you know, he was part of the Manhattan Project, and he was a reactor guy, and he was instrumental in putting reactors in submarines and naval ships. So he knew what a good reactor was and what a bad one was. So, and he knew all the LIGO, and he knew all the NRC guys, and so the one thing at that first meeting when we're eating Esther's little Kugelin and drinking really strong coffee, I said, okay, the only thing we have to do right here, right now, is we have to vow that we will never give up. Whatever it takes. No, I said, however long it takes, we will stop this thing. It will never open, period. Right? So it took us 8 years. But I made sure that every day we did this, and I said, and we cannot be like the Nazis. We have to be ethically, our enterprise has to be ethical. We can't say, well, we'll do anything, lie, cheat, steal, as long as we can. No, we have to be ethical, and we have to be in every day and every way taking the peace of the earth through love's co-creation and making it stronger. And that was like our little mantra, you know? And that's what we did. You know, we made that oath that we wouldn't give up, that we would stay at it until we closed the plant, you know? And now telling that story would take a number of 5-hour marathons, so I'll just leave it at that. Let's see. So we are coming together here, and we are going to be those little pebbles in the pond that will make the waves. So this moment, the singularity, will be a ascension of all our souls, our consciousnesses, through love's co-creation, where we are all one love, all the artist in the first person. See it clearly, right? Oh, what else are we saying here? Nanocrystals. Yeah, yeah. And so, let's see. Let's see. Hubba. Peps like longer. I'm fucked. PPNM. What's that? Let's see. What are we talking about? Small people live longer. Yeah. Light people live longer is really the thing. My fave songs are by those two folks. Bob Seger. Yeah, I love Bob Seger. Joan Baez, the best. The best of the best. And Joan Baez, is she the indigenous American? So one little thing I want to go back and talk about is the Velvet Underground. Now that was truly, John Cale's my buddy, right? I met him in the rock and roll scene, and I met him many different times. You know, I was the guy, fixing this and doing that, and we talked a little. I'd be at a party, we talk a little, but I really got to know John because Jane Fire, one of the 5 women in my life who I should have married, she was an amazing musician. She was amazing everything, artist, you name it, whatever she did, she was amazing. And her best of friends that, like from like Teddy Werner, like third kindergarten on, married John, and this was the marriage that took with him. I mean, this was his girl. This, I'm sure they're still married. Yeah, Joni Mitchell's pretty amazing. Her album Blue, I was going to prep school, and our color was blue, right? And every song in that album, I thought she wrote for my soul, That's why I kind of went gaga. And the first time I met Joni Mitchell, I had a friend of mine who lived his family. They were Italian, and they lived in this little apartment above the bitter end in New York City. And I used to go there when I didn't go home, and my grandma wasn't home making Italian food on Fridays. I would go to their house because Mrs. D, she was a great, just, just like a younger version of my grandma. She was like 30 something, and my grandma was like 70 something, but they were like the same. She came from the same neck of the woods. Everything, she had the same kind of moxie and brilliance for being a woman from, my grandma and we watched, the guys walking on the moon on Apollo 11, right? Neil stepping on one step for man, blah, 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 blah. And, it's like 5 in the morning or whatever it was, but it wasn't like, it was early or late or however you look at it. And anyway, so we're watching this in her living room on a Motorola TV, black and white TV. And my grandma says to me, Albert, when I was your age, I lived on top of a mountain in northern Italy. And the only technology we had was the wheel and candles. We didn't have glass we just had a hole for a door and a window. And when winter came, we, stuffed up the hole. And she said, here I am. I'm sitting in my living room watching a man walk on the moon in a little box in my living room. And she goes, now just think of the changes that I've seen from going from only having the wheel and I didn't know about airplanes or cars or steam engines or nothing. I lived on top of this. We never came down from that mountain. And my father died and my mother died and my grandmother gave me what little money she had. And she said, go to America. Your life is not here. And I did. And she said, now just think of you. Just think of the differences that I've seen in 60 years. Just think of the changes that you'll see. Now that really brought me up short. That was like, whoa. Okay, Grandma. And I think about that a lot. It's like one of my raison d'etres. So back to, the Velvet Underground. So Jane, took me to, Boo Tannenbaum was my buddy. He's a photographer. He was what's going on here? Anyway, my hand is getting tired holding these things up. So we went to a concert where the Velvet Underground played. It was at the band shell. And, it was about, 20,000 people out there in the audience. And we were up in the backstage and there was a green room. And I walked in. And there's John and the rest of the band and his new wife and everybody's girlfriend. And John looks at me and goes, I know you, don't I? I said, yeah, we keep meeting each other in the strangest of places. He goes, well, now that you're Jane's beau, obviously I'll see a lot of you because I see a lot of Jane because my wife is her best friend and she basically lives at our house. And I said, oh, well, that's interesting. So anyway, he did his set and it was great. And then we all went to Max's Kansas City, which I helped wire. And we went into the back room where only the VVVIPs got to go. That's where, in the back room there is where the Beatles and the Stones would be watching, Bob Dylan play on stage. And then he'd get off and then the Beatles would get up. It was that was that. And so we're there and, it wasn't one of those nights, but it was quiet. It was nice. We had a nice meal. We were talking and the girls are talking and Alan is like, roaming around the room, taking pictures of all the famous people because he worked, he was the editor of the Soho News, but he was also the photo editor of Village Voice and he was a stringer and he sold pictures to the Post and Newsday and stuff. Anyway, so it's just really me and John Cale talking, and we start talking, and we realize that we're interested in Tesla. We're interested in aircraft. We're interested in physics. We're interested in painting, and that's why he married his wife, because both Jane and her were unbelievable painters. And he loved music. He played the piano as a little boy. And John Cale was the musical genius of the Velvet Underground. He pretty much did everything, and the guys were all great musicians and great personalities, and their look and their brand was pretty amazing. But he was the genius of the scene, and he looked at music as the music of the spheres. Like when he would write music, he was on another planet. He was on those spheres, and I told him about the experiments I was doing with psychotronics and using audio generators, pumping them through amplifiers, putting them in speakers, and putting sand. He says, and you got sigils at different frequencies, didn't you? So we were like, whoa, we are friggin', we're like blood brothers here. And he's another guy that I never thought of. Oh wow, I know John Cale. And but every time I was out and about, and so when we were out, we were just two guys out on the town. We had lots of favorite. We were both breakfast guys. We both liked pastries and coffee, and going places where we'd spend an hour or two having a cup of coffee, talking about existential theology. And I was part of these, Theosophical Society and these other societies, and I brought him to all these meetings, and he was like, wow, because he was wowed by two things. He read these people's books, and none of these people knew who the fuck he was. He loved it that he was totally, and no one's, wow, it's John Cale, because there were a lot of times we'd be walking, oh, John Cale, I love your music, stuff like that. He was like, "Ugh." And I've told this story before. It's too long of a story. I'm not going to tell it. I'll tell it again. But bottom line, I'll just do the shortcut. The Mossad was after my ass about something. It takes a long time to explain that. I mean, I was going to be a rabbi. I was being let in to read the sacred books. I remember talking to my rabbi who introduced me to like the head rabbi of this sect, and we were talking, and he goes, you'll understand. And my whole thing was Kabbalah, you know. So I mean, I had to learn, the Torah, and I had to learn Hebrew and a number of other languages to do this, and a different form of math, which was amazing for my. Once I did that, learning keys of other hidden texts was child's play. Anyway, I got in deep, and this is again this after this little experience. This is when I was offered to be read in, as they say. I would politely say, well, I love working for you guys. I love doing what I'm doing, but I really don't think I'm the guy you want to be read in on this. And they say, well, okay, well, we really appreciate the work you've done so far, and we'd love to call on you whenever we need you again, and we thank you that. And here's a nice little paper bag full of money. So, have a good day. And that was good. But I kind of let myself get read in on the Kabbalah stuff, and I again, the story about what happened would take too long, so I won't go into it at this minute. And it's on one of my other ones back there. And what the long story of the short, they were very disappointed. So they sent the Mossad after me to kill me. And my rabbi, who brought me into this, basically felt, responsible. So before I got offed, he came to me and said, "Man, you got to get out of town. You got to leave the country. You got to go someplace where no one will find you." And I did, and went away for a year, and I came back, and I said, "So is it all safe?" And he goes, "Well, they're not. You're down on the list, but you be very down. You're going to stay in New York. Don't go to Wayne. Don't go any place Jewish. You know, don't go over to the diamond section. Don't go to, don't come back here to Waynesburg, period. Don't do it. I'll make sure all your stuff is safe up in your loft, but it's, you're down on the list, but they're still pissed off at you. So I said, okay. So what did I do? The best place to hide in New York, I called up John and said, "Hey John, can I stay at your?" Because he had this amazing apartment loft in the West Village, right off of Sixth Avenue, and right across the street from the McDonald's and the basketball court. And it was great. It was right on this like triangle. These 10th Street and a few other streets kind of came together in a triangle right on Sixth Avenue. And his apartment, the way it was located, it was about 3,000 square foot apartment, and he had a lot of the walls knocked out, so it was very open, and he had windows on every wall. He just had one little section where the hallway was, and the elevator came up to the front door. The elevator went only to his floor, and the door opened. He had a key to open the elevator door, and then he had another key to open the door into his apartment. And anyway, he had a great veranda. It was like having a backyard in the West Village, about 6 stories up in the air. So I called him up and said, "Hey, can I come and stay?" "Sure, sure. We got plenty of rooms. No problem. And Jane, everyone loves you. All is forgiven. It's all good." And Jane, by this time, had found herself a multi-zillionaire guy who adored her. And when I showed up, it was really great because Jane and I were just where we were when I left, and yet, and we were sparking and sweet and kissy kissy, but we just didn't have sex. That was it. She had this guy, and we were both these people who were very monogamous, wild and crazy in our lovemaking, but we didn't fool around. I never fool around. It's not worth it. It's not. It's terrible. I don't like it. I mean, I've had girlfriends who liked having multiple, polymorphous relationships, and I didn't like being the meat in between, the two pieces of white bread. But anyway, so I'm there with, and we have this little, we're both breakfast guys, so this the restaurant a friend I built and a friend of mine owns called the Paris Commune, and that was a major success. And then he had all of these every time a little kind of storefront would open, and this is when New York was still, rents weren't that expensive. Um, he would. This is before I met Donna. Anyway, so this guy had the Paris Commune, and he had about five one in Brooklyn, one uptown, one downtown, one in the West Village. Anyway, so he had these beautiful like little French coffee shops. He was a nice Jewish boy from Brooklyn, but he went over and studied French pastry and bread making and cheese, and so that was his passion, and that's how you succeed when you have this kind of all burning passion. That's all you do. That's you can guarantee you're going to be successful. So anyway, he there was this nice little coffee shop that my friend had that was, just down the street from almost like down, you come out, you walk 3 storefronts, there it was. We go in there, and in the back, this had been a storefront, but it had a backyard. And this guy made it into a really like almost French little, it was just so sweet. Trees and bushes and nice seats and umbrellas. And he wouldn't let just anybody go sit in the back, right? So, um, and you could stay there, and so it was like a retreat, right? So we would go back there, and we'd have our croissants and all the other breakfast yummies, and we'd have our first espresso. And John and I were like hobbits, we'd have 3 breakfasts we'd go out of the house about 8, get a bunch of newspapers, go to this French cafe, sit in the back, and the sun would come down, in the summertime, through this, crack of where the buildings were butted up against each other. And, from about oh, 8 a.m. to about 11, the sun came shining right into this backyard. It was beautiful. Anyway, so we would sit there and have our first breakfast. Then we would kind of walk across to about Lexington, up where the Lexington Hotel is, and there's a park there. Always forget the name of the park, and that's the name of the hotel. And in that place, they had another really great restaurant. It's like one of those old. It's like the Oak Room in the Waldorf Astoria, and so and it too had a nice little veranda, not so much a backyard, but a veranda that kind of looked out on the park, right? So we went and had a real breakfast, like with omelets and sausage and all of that, and that was, you know, more. It was public, but not everyone knew about it. If you were in the hotel, you kind of, oh, there's a place I'll have breakfast, and they had a nice lunch and a really great dinner and a great Friday night dinner, and some real pretty famous jazz guy who I forget would come and play there every Friday night. And when I wanted to impress a new girlfriend, I would take her there. Anyway, so Don and I would have our second breakfast there, and so we're by then we would leave around, I don't know, 11 to 12, and we would walk straight over to Second Avenue to where Weiser's bookstore was, the real antediluvian one, not the one that, over on the west side where all the tourists would go. This one was like, you kind of had to know people. It was still a public kind of place, but it was, kind of hidden. And so, anyway, so we go in there, and we would, go get some books from, the section and sit down and either have, they had nice bratwurst there. The lady was German, and she had really great pastry. So we'd either have another, we'd be pretty wired up by the time, because we were about on our fifth espresso. And maybe we would like ease up and have a cappuccino. And anyway, so we'd be deep into whatever we were talking about for the last 3 or 4 hours. And so there was this, again, it wasn't like a VIP room, like they had the rope out and you couldn't go in unless you were a VIP. But nobody knew about this place. But so, I come into New York, I call John, I say, hey, can I stay at your place? He says, sure. He doesn't have an album to do. They're not on tour. He's got, this is his off time of, a month or two, and he's just had a baby, and he's really loving being the dad and the husband, and still in love with his wife, and and still enjoying all her friends, because they're not like, oh, he's John Cale. So anyway, so we're in this coffee shop off of Weiser's book, the antediluvian Weiser's bookstore, and and it's about the fourth day. And this is, we do the same thing every friggin' day of these 4 days. Why not? It's like we're both like, on vacation. I'm on vacation from trying to not get whacked by the Mossad, and he's just on vacation. Anyway, so we're talking, and he goes, Al. I go, what, John? He goes, don't turn around, but there's a guy right behind you in a black leather jacket, and he is staring at your head like he wants to kill you. So what do? I turn around and look straight at this guy, and he's like, 10 feet away. And I go, so, are you a Mossad agent, and are you here to kill me? And he looks at me like kind of stunned, and he goes, yes, I am. And I go, well, this is the third day that you've been staring at my head, so why haven't you whacked me? He goes, is that John Cale? And I go, yeah, that's John Cale. You want to meet him? I love John Cale. So he's 10 feet away. Just come on over. Can I come? Yeah, just come on over. So he comes over, and we just start having the best of conversation. And he tells us, you think I tell stories? Whoa. This guy's name's Yos. And he's, you know, done a lot of wet work. He was a colonel in the Israeli Air Force, and he bombed a lot of women and children. And, after we talk for a few hours, and then we go over to the bar in this, back to the hotel and go to the bar and start drinking. And John could drink. He wasn't a drinker, but he could drink. And me, I have two. My little thing is two glasses of a nice like Glenfiddich or something, right? And a glass of ginger ale. That's kind of it for me for drinking. Hey, but Yo's that boy is a drinker. So he's telling us a story, and he said, I'm really tired of killing people, and Israel isn't what I was brought up to believe. And he starts talking about the Zionists and how they're Nazis, and going on about the the whole story about that the Zionists are really the Aryan race. And so he's like going on about this, and this is like 1970 something, before 76, I think. Anyway, so um, anyway, um, John goes, so what are you gonna do? And he goes, well, I have no, I I am like stuck because I really have no culture other than this. And I read a lot of books. I mean, I love I love music, I love art, but I don't even go to art galleries. Unless I'm, following somebody who I'm going to kill and he goes into an art gallery, I don't do that. I am trained to not, you know, oh, yeah, I'm trained to be invisible, and I have no place to go. You know, so he goes, the only place I can stay is in the safe house. Anyway, so I go, so well, why don't you, John? He can stay with us, can't he? John looks at me and he kind of goes, well, let me make a phone call. So he goes over to the lady, says, can I use your phone? He calls up his wife. He tells her the story. And of course, she says, oh, sure. What's one more? We got like 15 empty bedrooms. Sure. It'll be interesting. So Yost comes over there. Now, Yost, not only is he a, you know, Israel Air Force colonel, not only is he a Mossad colonel assassin, but he's a transdresser, which he can never ever do, except, and he can't even do it when he's back in his place in Israel because he lives in a barracks. He was like brought up in a barracks, right? From childhood on. And this guy, he has been MK'd Ultra, but not just on the down light because they need his brain still to be there. He can't be just a robot. So anyway, he's in this room in his closet, and John's wife has a lot of her clothes in there, and he comes out to dinner in one of her outfits. And he comes out and he goes, is it all right that I wear this? I put it on. I just love it. It makes me feel so free. I feel so great. I just can't believe how good I feel. He starts to cry. And she goes over and hugs him and pats, it's okay. Of course, you can have any of my clothes. You wear my underwear. Not a problem. High heels, whatever you want. And she's a great woman. Anyway, so Yos is now embraced in this new life, right? And there I'm living there in John's house along with a Mossad assassin. And so what do we do? The next day, we kind of stay home. And John plays Yost, and Yost plays the piano, and he's got two grand pianos, and they're playing songs together, and Yost is wearing a dress, and he's just the happiest guy alive. So the next day, I say, let's go out for breakfast. And Yost goes, well, I can't. What can I wear? I said, why don't you wear the dress? This is the West Village. You'll fit right in. So he does. And he is like beaming like a flower. He's just so happy. And he is invisible, meaning if the Mossad's looking for him, they could walk right by him and they would not see him. He's got this dress on. He's got this big hat on. He's got high heels on. He's just having them. He is home, right? So, and John has fallen, not physically fallen, but the stories that Yost tells about flying planes and flying saucers and all the tech, John is just eating it up like ice cream, just loves it, right? So we go to the same places that we've been going for all those 4 other days, right? First we go to the French place, then we go over to the bookstore, then we go to the hotel. Well, as we walking into the hotel, we go in, and Yost gets kind of really freaked out. He goes, "Well, I don't. Oh, this isn't good." I said, "What's wrong, buddy?" He goes, "There was a guy in the park. He's an agent I know. They're looking for me. They noticed. I could tell by his body language that he noticed you and John. He said, really noticed you. He probably doesn't even know who John is. Anyway, he's going to come in here." I said, "Okay. So, tell me about him. You know, does he like you? Does he have any hidden things?" "Yeah, I think he's gay. I mean, I'm just a you know, trans, you know, gendered cross-dresser, but this guy, I think he's gay, and he's so over and balances by being Mister Macho. He can kill you just like a zillion different ways. Doesn't even need a weapon. And this guy's a real assassin. He's probably out to get me because I didn't do my thing. They can't let that stand." So I said, "Okay, so let's just sit here and see what happens." So he walks in the bar, and it's really just the four of us, John, me, Yost, and this guy walks in. And again, he's wearing a black leather jacket. He looks just like Yost did the other day. Anyway, so we get up, the three of us, with our drinks, and walk over and sit right next to him. We don't sit at his table, but I mean, we're basically sitting at his table. And Yost goes, Yazzie, it's me, Yost." And this guy nearly falls on the floor. He goes, "You're wearing a dress." He goes, "Isn't it beautiful?" Anyway, that so broke this guy. I said, "Buddy, you don't like doing what you're doing. You're just stuck like he was. Why don't you come home with us? You can have a new life. Look at Yost. He's wearing a dress. He's happy. Look how happy. You've known him. How long you known him?" "I've known him since we were boys." "Has he ever looked this happy?" He goes, "No. I didn't even know who he was. I didn't even notice him. He's like my brother, and I didn't even notice him." And this guy's like really getting excited, and I don't know whether he's going to machine gun us all there or. But he does come home, and he goes full hog. He embraces the West Village, like he's come home. So now, you know, here are two Mossad assassins living in John Cale's house, and I'm hiding from them, right? So anyway, ding dong, somebody from the UN, the Israel consulate, has come by to visit. I said, "Can I come in?" I said, "Sure." And he's like, a diplomat, but he's an intelligent officer. These guys know him. And he sits down. He goes, "Okay, guys, you know, this can go one of three ways. You know, you can either come back and we will retrain you. Everyone dies, or no one talks about this at all. You guys, here are two new passports, and they're from Argentina. You're now Argentinian citizens, and you have nothing to do with Israel, and you never talk about anything that you've done, and you guys have your own lives. We've already invested way too much time and money into this guy pointing at me, and it's okay. It's okay. Nothing really bad happened. You know, it's all okay. It all worked out for the better. We can just let it go." And we all agreed to just let it go. So that's my one little story about John Cale. And that, I think, says it all about what kind of guy John is. He's just an amazing guy. Now, I haven't seen that guy since probably 1984. That's the last time I really seen him. Because in 88, I left New York and never went back. I finished between 84 and 88. I did everything I was ever going to do in New York City, accomplished, completed every project, did everything I did, and there's a lot of other stories I can tell you. And I left. And that kind of freed me. New York City was one of my little, sticking things. Meaning that's why, so there were at least 20 different places, 20 different people I could have been. Could have stayed in Ireland. There were 3 different women in Ireland that I could have married and had an amazing life and done amazing things. I could have stayed with the old crone. There were tons of things I could have done. There were, other people all across the country and in different countries that I lived in that I had lives there that were good lives, and I could have been in them. But I always had to come back to New York because I had stuff to do. It was my excuse not to commit. I committed 100%, nanosecond by nanosecond. You guys were talking about nanosecond, nanoparticles, something or other. Well, I was Mr. Nanosecond, and that's why people, because I was there for them. And I still am that. I still do that. But now I have, since I got really sick in 2012, I really embraced the commitment thing, I was committed to everything I did. That's why I was really successful and stuff. But I did, I committed for the project, for the minute, for the second, for the relationship until it changed. And then I said, okay, I'm off. I don't do that no more. I have a life, right? And my life is to be your Sensei Alba through thick and thin. And that just doesn't mean the 200 and something of you that have joined up. It means all our relations, right? Okay, so I've been at this for almost 2 hours. So, let's see. Let's read what you've got in here. Oh, a lot of nice chats. And that's what I love about this thing. You guys are chatting away while I'm telling stories. What do you think about varying levels of dimensional? Okay. Pretty much everything I've talked about was those varying shades of dimensionality. Rainbow. I have posted Andrew. There is a guided meditation. It's called "Set Yourself Free." Go look at all, through my past live chats. It's right there. It's a really great guided, just right. It's about a little less than an hour. It will really, and all you got to do is lie in bed and breathe the way I say to breathe. 20% in and 30% out. Mantra. Mandalas. Yeah, well, they're good. And what is my mantra? And every day and every way I will take a piece of love's co-creation and make it stronger. That's my mantra. That's what was given to me. My ascended master teacher, Akasha K. And if you go to my blog spot, my XRATTED blogspot.com, I have 3/4 of one of my novels, which is one of 26 novels. And in there is the story of my teacher, Asha K, and my relationship with my second life and how he was both our teachers. What do you think of? Well, interdimensionality is all around us. And a good example of that is, when you're looking and you see a little something in the side, little shadow on the side, that's interdimension. It's right next to you. It's like we are breaths away from interdimensionality. And if you go watch the J.J. Abrams TV show series called Fringe, they do a very good job of showing and explaining. That's a very good show about explaining what's going on the multiple dimensionalities and the physics that we're coming abreast of. Let's see. Very intrigued by the concept. I can't slightly navigate planes. Again, guys, all you got to do is breathe 20% in and 30% out. Breathe in the prana and chi, and that is the energetics that will allow you to transfer dimensions. And then you close your eyes and you see your imaginary mirror. That's where we have REM sleep. And then you illuminate it with the prana, and you see that light going throughout your whole body, and you energize the mitochondria of every cell by that breath. And that will energize your physical bag of water. harmonically to a place where the connection, the golden thread between our bag of water and our you know, our conscious self is wired solidly. And we then can traverse the the multiplanes. Yeah, boo. I experience Godhead, but it's not really a higher plane. So I would like to experience again. Go to that little guided meditation. I want you all to come on, guys. You can do this. It's in my many live chats that I put up. I put it up specifically. It's called "How to Set Yourself Free" or "Let Yourself Go" or something. And it's about 10 or 20 live chats south. It was kind of done sometime in August or September. So go to that. Come on, everyone, go to that. Just turn it on, lie down, sit in a chair. Don't cross anything in your body. Don't cross your legs, your hands, your fingers, nothing, your eyes. And do what that guided meditation says. And then let's talk about that. Then we can talk. Then through experience, we can talk about interdimensional travel because you will have done it. And it's very easy. No drugs, no going to South America, no like paying a guru $1 million and getting your secret mantra. No. And if you guys want, you know, in a chat or two from now, if you all want me to do another live guided meditation, I'll do it. But not only that, if we do that, what I need from you is first go and find that and try it out, right? Then even if I can't meditate, you will still, you will have still been transported, even though you don't know it. You will have a doorway will have opened, and when you dream, you will be having lucid dreams. When you will have synchronistic moments when things will come to you that nothing like that has come to you before. Then I want you got to go get yourself, composition book or anything else like that, or write it down in your phone, however you want to capture the moment. I mean, I use my phone and I put it on, whatchamacallit, on record, and I record my little ideas. So however you want to do it, get this. But writing accesses a part of your brain that talking and hearing and seeing doesn't do. So it's called a gestalt. When you write stuff down, when you hear things, you write it down, and you hear something, you write it down, you'll understand it. Mayor Baba. And that's, Mayor Baba talked about all of this stuff in his teachings. The movie, Mandy, let's see, God Speaks, hippie cult, murder, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, Jamie. Al, I should be La La Land. I sat through ballet once. Ballet and opera is like doing LSD. You kind of have to let go to get the most out of it. Grateful Dead. They were all a bunch of nice, sweet guys who took too much acid and got stuck. Grim Reaper. Yeah, well, Grim Reaper, he was just a misunderstood guy. He used to do stand-up comedy. Let's see. Hunter. Let's see. Jamie, check out some Baba vibes on my channel. Janie. So, okay. I'll go check it out. Let's see, Janie. How connected was Timothy Leary to computer AI? He was very, very, because he was part of DARPA. So he was definitely, he was in that. Let's see. Hello, Hunter. Yeah, me too. Larry might have been another useful idiot. Yep, CINK. Yep. Dave McGo. Strange Screens from Lord Ken. Yes, that's a great book. These guys went beyond. Yep, exactly. I love because I got stuck. One of the main things of this tutorial, and that's what this is, guys, is to learn how not to get stuck. But 40 days, a while. Like I said, non-linear. We got all the time in the world. We just have to be committed to bringing love's co-creation into everyone's reality, and that will ascend everyone's consciousness into the Aquarian age. So instead of being in the low realms, we'll be up in the 5 and 10 levels. Well, it's not so much acid doing it to you, it's what happens to you on acid. So, let's see. How many more? Well, there's lots more. Boy, you guys were chatting up a storm. Whoa, this sucker goes on for freaking ever. Yeah, we'll start at this. Dogs become mini-me's, yes. ESP dogs, yes. All my dogs would talk to me into my head. Totally cool. Sweetie. Zoe, my dog, yeah, she's, so yes. Cats are also there. I love kitties. But I am a dog boy, so I respect and honor cats, right? And they don't understand me because I'm a dog boy. I like them. I'm not mean to them. I don't yell at them, but I'm a dog boy. So they kind of like the John's two cats. I won't even go there. My beautiful alpha black cat. Okay. Did anyone see the movie Alpha? It's like where humans learn to have dogs. Not really punk. Excellent story on JJ. Kale, I'm not going to ask. I'm quite curious. It's interesting to read these cats backward. It's okay. No, I am not. Since I worked in rock and roll since I was like 14, I like all. And when I was 9 and 10, I lived in this. Every summer we had this house out in Oldfield, Long Island. All we had was, a hi-fi with all these records. And all I listened to was jazz, and the Kingston Trio and classical music. You know. And my dad did buy the second summer. He bought a Beatles album, Rubber Soul, and he bought uh, what Elvis at Las Vegas, and I think he actually bought a Rolling Stones one of their first ones. Anyway, so I mean that was my musical, and my parents weren't musical. And then when I went to middle school, I learned to play the alto sax and the clarinet, and I really got into jazz because my music teacher, was a great teacher and a great classical musician and a great jazz musician. And he liked, popular music too. And he basically taught us all music is good as long as it's passionate, real music. That it's not commercial, that it's not just dreck, that it's not just there to hook you, right? So I learned that from him. So I love all music. Let's see. Let's see. We really chatted up a storm in 2 hours. So it's 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 2 hours and 8 minutes. 9 minutes. Okay. Kale, produce. Yep. And that was like, when was that? It might have been after. Was that in the 80s? Let's see. Guys, lying down, my arms are falling asleep holding the phone. So you've had a great chat here. I'm just kind of flying through it. And I'll read it later, but I'm like tired now. I'm kind of, when you exert one part of your body, not the rest, it can really tire you out. Yeah, yeah. So, why don't you guys reread this chat before tomorrow, and any of you who read it before tomorrow morning at 7, oh no, like I said, between 8 and 10, and I'll probably be at my favorite breakfast spot, because I've been here 2 days in a row. Or I might stay up here. It's not bad up here. When it gets really cold, then I kind of have to get up. And so far, it hasn't been really, really cold. Not like my friends in Chicago. Anyway, I'll read it. I'll actually take little notes of things for ideas to talk about. And so tomorrow's chats will be from this chat. And I'll look at both chats today because both chats were excellent. Okay, gang, I love you all. Let's see, go to the back, see what's happening here. Let's see, it's 2:15 a.m. here. Holy moly. Jamie, you are a trooper, a champ. I love all of you guys. So I'll see you tomorrow. And get some more folks on this channel. Let's see if we can get more in the family. Because again, the window, like I said, we're not in a linear, race here. But we have to get committed and stay on the tread, right? And again, I ask as many as you who can and would like to, copy all of these. I don't want this stuff to just go away. I'm being prolific because actually, I'm in great health right now, but as my doctor says, I'm the healthiest dead guy he knows. And there are, things can happen to me. I could be gone tomorrow, but that's all of us. We could all be gone tomorrow. So I'm committing to be, prolific and on top of this and your Sensei Al Bob and, there to help all of my family to ascend because by doing that, you will all be happy, which will make me happy. You will all live lives of joy. And you'll still be in your bag of water, but you will then be that great example for everyone who sees you. You will be like Buddha. You will be like Jesus Christ. You'll be Vishnu. You'll be you. Right? So that's all I'm here to do. Not to, save the world. No. Wake you guys up a little, and we'll all save the world as a family. Because we will enjoy and invite and enable love's co-creation to all of our relations. And with that, I will say good night. I love you. It's 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 13 seconds. Look at that.